Hello, my friends. Today we are starting with the Kursk direction because, according to preliminary reports, 6 Ukrainian armed forces brigades have launched an offensive to capture more Russian territory. Unfortunately, of what was previously taken, only half remains under control. It seems a decision was made to expand the controlled territory again, likely to secure a better position for negotiations. As of the creation of this video, it's confirmed that the Ukrainian forces advanced 2 kilometers 800 meters across fields near the villages of Russkaya Porечная and Cherkasskaya Porечная. Additionally, they've gained around 800 meters near the village of Martinovka and approximately 600 meters closer to Pushkarne. These gains represent the results of the first day of the offensive, and this information is verified on the map. And we are now waiting to see how events develop further. Meanwhile, Russian war bloggers initially panicked on their Telegram channels, but later appeared to receive orders to claim that everything is fine. And today they are saying that all attacks were repelled and that a significant amount of Ukrainian equipment was allegedly destroyed. For now, we'll see how things unfold in this area. In the meantime, Zelensky has finally realized that sanctions against Russia are ineffective and that our partners need to act differently.
Everyone kept saying things, making predictions, etc., but I asked for just one thing, primarily from the US. If you're certain, if you have evidence, if you've spoken to him and he tells you there will be an invasion, if all this scares you, first, I don't need proof, just give me two things. Strengthen us with weapons, but more importantly, strengthen us with preconditions to prevent war. And that's not just weapons, I mean your sanctions. Scare him. Don't say, please, that if he comes, if he crosses borders, if he starts killing, then you'll impose sanctions. That's bullshit. Sorry, but really.
As we can see, Zelensky is visibly frustrated and has made sharp remarks about the situation multiple times. Clearly, things aren't going according to plan, unfortunately. He also stated that everyone was indifferent to Ukraine.
Ukraine holds consultations when its territorial integrity is violated. Everyone should be part of these consultations. Everyone should come. Everyone should meet urgently. America, Britain, Russia, France, China. Did anyone come, you ask? No? Did anyone respond to these letters, the official letters? They are all documented by diplomats. Did anyone conduct consultations? No. Why? Because no one cares. It's obvious, right? The other security guarantors of the Budapest Memorandum. None of them cared about this country, these people, or these security guarantees, and so on.
He also mentioned that today everyone profits from the war in Ukraine. Everyone, and believe me, this isn't just about Ukraine. Along the entire supply chain, there are always people or companies trying to profit because everyone profits from war. We didn't profit from the war. He also mentioned a very important detail for everyone. After Trump's inauguration, there is a possibility that he and Trump could negotiate an end to this war.
I have a dream, so to speak, on January 25th, or sometime near the end of January this year. You'll sit down with Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin to agree on a ceasefire and strict security guarantees. You'll sign a treaty. What would that look like without NATO?
Let me explain. First of all, I think January 25th, or another day. You mentioned January 25th, and I don't mind, it's my birthday. First, we sit down with Trump. We work out how we can stop the war, stop Putin. That's crucial. It's important for us to talk with him. Secondly, it's very important for us that Europe, which is crucial to us, not just geographically, but geopolitically, and as part of the European Union where we will belong, also has a voice. Europe must support Ukraine, as we are part of it. I've noticed something when it comes to Trump. Every time we talk about him, whether we've met or just had a phone call, all European leaders always ask, well, what's happening? What's Trump's position? This shows Trump's influence, something we haven't seen with previous US presidents. I'm telling you this from my experience. It gives me faith that he can stop this war. That's why we need to start with Trump. Europe will support Ukraine's position because they understand that Ukraine has every right to have the loudest voice in these discussions. This is our war. Once we reach an agreement with Trump, I believe he can propose strong security guarantees alongside Europe. Only after that can there be discussions with Russia. That's the order: first Trump, then Europe, and finally, Russia. Not all three at once.
Clearly, Zelensky is hopeful that Trump can stop this war. There seem to be no other options. Biden for sure couldn't make it happen. We'll see have to wait and see how things develop. Zelensky says the war must end specifically in 2025. I believe we have the strength to end this war in 2025. I truly hope for it. Friends, this is why we're seeing an offensive by the Ukrainian forces in the Kursk region. Zelensky is fully aware that negotiations with Trump will begin after the inauguration, and he wants Ukraine to have a stronger position despite the ongoing loss of Ukrainian territory. What are your thoughts on this? Share them in the comments below. Now let's move on to the front line and start with the most challenging area, the Pokrovsk direction. Russian forces are actively deploying FPV drones over Pokrovsk, which has led to an increase in shelling. They are also striking with artillery, while the offensive actions continue at maximum intensity. They are attempting to advance into the outskirts of Pokrovsk, pushing towards Zvirove, storming Pishane, and moving toward the village of Kotlin. However, they haven't been able to secure positions near the highway, allowing the Ukrainian forces to continue repelling the attacks. Fierce battles are also ongoing for the villages of Solone, Novovasilievka, Novoalexandrivka, as well as continuous assaults on Zelene and Lysivka. Near Mirnograd, they are storming Promень, Myrolюбівка, and advancing through the fields toward Novoekonomichne. Following the capture of Vozdvizhenka, they are now assaulting Baranivka. The situation remains extremely difficult, but there have been no territorial changes in the past 24 hours. In the Kurakhove direction, Russian forces continue to exert pressure from all sides. They are storming the village of Zaporizhia, then Petropavlivka, Dachne, and advancing beyond the Kurakhivska TPP. Battles are also underway near the village of Konstantinopolsk, with assaults on Constantinople itself. In addition, heavy shelling persists, but no new changes have been recorded over the last day. In the area of Velika Novosilka, activity has temporarily decreased. The Ukrainian forces describe the situation as follows. At the moment, the Velika Novosilka direction has been somewhat stabilized in the south. However, for several weeks now, everything has been hanging by a thread. It's very, very delicate. The Russians are not advancing quickly, but they are making small gains, primarily towards Neskuchne, Novosilka, and Vremivka. In the Mokrieli area near Novy Komar, the Russians haven't yet reliably crossed, which allows us to maintain some logistics, even if only through the fields. Velika Novosilka has been in operational encirclement for the third week, and those fields, though barely, are saving the situation. In the Zaporizhia direction, the Russians continue the attacks on Novodanilivka, but the Ukrainian forces are effectively stopping them in the fields. So far, there are no changes along the front line in this area. In the Kherson direction, unfortunately, Russian forces have achieved significant gains. They have captured islands, advanced approximately 9.5 kilometers, and continued their attempts to seize the last island on the way to the right bank and the village of Kizomys. The situation here is deteriorating significantly. Additionally, shelling of the right bank hasn't ceased. In the Toretsk direction. Here, Russian forces continue the attempts to capture the outskirts of Toretsk. Assaults on Krimska have begun. Attacks on Delivka persist as they are breaking through to the outskirts of Sherbinivka. The activity in this area is intense, but no new changes have been recorded over the past day. In the Chasiv Yar direction, much like in Toretsk, the situation is worsening, albeit very slowly. Russian forces are advancing, but at a very limited pace. Chasiv Yar is gradually falling under their control, with fighting ongoing in the city. Additionally, the Russians are assaulting Stupachki and pushing toward Bilahora. However, over the past day, there have been no confirmed changes along the front line, though the battles persist. In the Siversk direction, the Russians are assaulting Grigorivka and attempting to advance in the Serebryanka forest. However, they haven't achieved any success and the front line has remained unchanged over the past day. In the Lyman direction, Russian forces continue the attacks near the village of Terny and assaulting Yampolivka. They have already established a foothold near the village of Ivanivka, but are currently bringing up additional reserves. The situation here is also gradually deteriorating. In the Borova direction, the Russians are assaulting Boguslavka, advancing toward Pershotravneva and attempting to move through the fields toward Novosergiyevka. They are also attacking Novoyegorivka. Further south, fighting is ongoing near the village of Makiyevka, but there have been no new changes over the past day. In the Kupiansk direction, Russian forces are assaulting Petropavlivka but have had no success, leaving the front line unchanged. In the Kharkiv direction, the Russians continue shelling without launching offensive operations, resulting in no changes along the front line. It's likely that reserves from this area will be redeployed to the Kursk region to hold the advance of Ukrainian forces. However, in Vovchansk, fighting continues, and there are even reports of attempts to advance toward the village of Staritsa. Despite these efforts, there have been no breakthroughs, and the front remains static. Meanwhile, discussions about elections are growing amid the ongoing war. President Zelensky addressed the issue, stating, "We want elections we can trust," Zelensky said about postponing elections. 8.5 million people have left the country. Infrastructure needs to be created for these millions to vote. Millions of people are in occupied territories. I'm not even talking about the occupation of 2014. What should we do about these people, and how can voting occur without a million military personnel? What are your thoughts on this matter? Share your opinions in the comments below. And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.